Good evening and welcome to the End Abortion Anywhere webcast. We are going to cover a lot tonight. There's a lot going on in the pro-life movement. There's a lot of good news that many people need to hear. We are, in fact, winning, and we will cover all of that. The historic closures of Planned Parenthoods this year. In 2025, the historic defunding of Planned Parenthood, the closing of the Manhattan Planned Parenthood, the closing of the Houston Planned Parenthood. We are going to cover a lot. We're going to talk to a former abortion provider, Dr. Haywood Robinson. We're going to talk to former Planned Parenthood manager, Ramona Trevino. And we are going to cover a lot of topics tonight. And we are going to share with you how you, no matter where you are in these uncertain times, you can end abortion in your city. And we are going to talk especially about the most pro-abortion states in our country. So thank you for joining us tonight, and joining me as the co-host of this End Abortion webcast is Mr. Steve Carlin, fresh from Wisconsin. Welcome to Texas.
Hey, it's great to be here, and it's even greater to have just wrapped up really one of the most exciting campaigns I think we've ever had.
Yeah, we're winning. Mm-hmm. And you know, I went to Texas A&M, and we're not good at winning and owning the fact that we're winning, but we're doing great this year, so we don't want to jinx that. But our movement really is winning. We are owning the wins, and what we're seeing is really the fulfillment of a very top-heavy abortion industry, Planned Parenthood, putting all of their eggs in the D.C. basket, which worked out for them, frankly. They got, $700 million in tax funding. They had longtime CEO, very effective CEO, Cecile Richards, who was very, unfortunately for us, good for them as a leader. She endured the David Leiden baby body part scandal. She made a villain out of Trump and raised record amount of money for Planned Parenthood. And when she left, they've had this swirling door at the CEO position. They have Alexis McGill Johnson, who's their CEO. I'm not attacking her personally, but she's not been an effective CEO for them. She's been a terrible leader in a post-Roe America. And yet we've seen on the opposite end, the Christians who built this movement before we were born, they went to work. And now pregnancy centers outnumber abortion providers 7-1. You have things like 40 Days for Life with 1 million volunteers in 1,800 cities. And we're really built for a post-Roe America.
We are, and the results speak for themselves, right? This campaign, we saw tons of babies saved. We topped a big milestone, 26,000 lives saved from abortion during a 40 Days for Life campaign. That we know of. Of course, the real number is probably much higher, but those that have been confirmed now top 26,000. And I've lived in several towns that don't have 26,000 people in them, so I like to kind of put it in those terms.
Yeah, it is. It does. The 26,000, baby, it really resonates with people, and it shows. Half of the abortion facilities that 40 Days for Life has closed are in pro-abortion blue states, where it used to just be they tolerated abortion, now they celebrate abortion. But when you look at how we got here with 1973 and the the once again dehumanization of a whole segment of our population by a horrific all-male Supreme Court, and then you just sort of fast forward to the pregnancy centers being built and being more sophisticated and having more medical alternatives, and the escalation of abortion pills with the COVID pandemic, where Biden, and the FDA just deregulated them at an unprecedented level and wanted to pass them out, like Skittles. But we see that even on the abortion pills, and we're going to talk a lot about that tonight, 80% of those are still distributed through brick and mortar, and Planned Parenthood is still the authority of pro-abortion America. So they go, so abortion goes in the United States and as a result around the world. They're hurting right now.
They are, and as you said, 80% of abortions still done through brick and mortar facilities. And so when sometimes I think people are tempted to ask, okay, does it even matter that all of these abortion facilities are closing if they're just going to be mailing out abortion pills? And that 80% number is the proof in the pudding. This year alone, we have seen abortion facilities close in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, Sacramento, California, which is the 4th facility to close in Sacramento. Not Birmingham, Alabama.
No.
Sacramento, California.
And Sacramento, the first city to ever sign up for 40 Days for Life.
Yes.
We launched it nationally back in the summer of '07.
Also in the Golden State, San Mateo, Gilroy, and Santa Cruz, California.
And for folks who don't realize, without really turning this webcast into a fiasco, Santa Cruz makes San Francisco look like Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes.
I mean, Santa Cruz, I literally couldn't put in the 40 Days for Life book what I saw the first time I saw out there. It's crude and vile, doesn't do it justice, so we won't get into it. And the cops allowing it in public. But those are the only details I'll give. Santa Cruz is crazy. That's a huge victory for 40 Days for Life. In San Mateo, California, home of course, your favorite person, Tom Brady, that is a suburb of San Francisco. For that Planned Parenthood to close, it was in a nice, quaint neighborhood. I've been there many times. Just a huge victory.
Yes. Boulder, Colorado, the notorious third trimester abortion facility. Aurora, Colorado, closed. Jackson and Marquette, Michigan. Goshen and Cobleskill, New York. 4 facilities in Iowa, meaning that there are only 2 Planned Parenthoods left in the entire state of Iowa. This is where 15 years ago, Planned Parenthood was expanding more aggressively than anywhere in the United States, but those days are gone, and Planned Parenthood has a tiny footprint in the Hawkeye state.
Yeah, and that used to be a hub at one point. I think Greater Iowa was Planned Parenthood's 4th largest affiliate in the country. So I think it's 6 Planned Parenthoods in the last 18 months have closed in New York. And none bigger. I was just there 2 weeks ago. I went up to New York to the flagship Planned Parenthood. It was on Margaret Sanger Way. They finally took down the sign of Margaret Sanger, the street sign, because she was a celebrated supporter of the KKK and eugenicists and racists and all the others, and not in the 2020 woke one, but the actual racists that say we need to get rid of all the black people. And so they finally took her sign down, but that was on Margaret Sanger Way. 13 years of 40 Days for Life campaigns. That's where the Sisters of Life faithfully went out and prayed. The Franciscan Friars of the Newell, the street preachers from the Bronx, they would go to that Manhattan Planned Parenthood and pray. We don't need to lay out for the viewer the amount of persecution and what was screamed at the Sisters of Life, particularly over the years. They didn't care. They went out, they prayed, they fasted, and they were faithful. And Planned Parenthood, they closed that in May. And their last day in business was November 1st, but they took a lot of heat from other pro-abortion groups for closing that place. And even I was super surprised that place closed, because I thought even if all abortion ends around the world, that location would be, the Museum to Reproductive Rights or something. They would just never close it, and they did.
Imagine if you go back to, say, 2021, Biden is president, they're aggressively propping up the abortion industry, and say that flash forward just a few years, and in a 4-month span, you will see Planned Parenthood defunded, the flagship facility in Manhattan of Planned Parenthood close, and then the largest abortion facility in the world in Houston go out of business. All in those are 3 of the biggest victories in the pro-life movement's history, and they took place bam, 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 right on top of each other.
Bam, bam, bam. And I was out there on September 30th, the last day for that massive Planned Parenthood to close. We've taken our wonderful 40 Days for Life local leaders, and we've had the leader trainings and symposiums in Houston. We've gone out to that facility and prayed. You'll see some of the pictures on the screen. But just an overwhelming place. We've taken former abortion workers out there who have just broken down and are overwhelmed by the mere presence of that place. I was there from the beginning. I remember going to a meeting when we got the plans for them to build that massive facility, and I never felt sicker to my stomach, not only as a Texan, but just as a pro-life American, that they were gonna have a 78,000 square foot abortion facility, and at one point a late-term abortion facility. And just, of course, the cliche, which I fully believe, is that the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and this was certainly a David and Goliath victory. But since 2006, when we started combating and boycotting the contractors that were working on it and all of this stuff, for that place to be open, never hitting their abortion quota. They always wanted to do 8,000 abortions a year, but for that place to close, for Manhattan to close, we're going to talk to Pearl in the Bronx. I went up to the Bronx this fall and interviewed her in front of her decrepit creepy, windowless abortion facility in the Bronx. And these aren't pro-life places. San Mateo's not pro-life.
Right.
Santa Cruz is not pro-life. And it's just unbelievable to see, look at what's happening in New York and just the election a few weeks ago. None of that stuff matters. This is market-driven, and market-driven in the pro-life movement means changing hearts and minds. And that's exactly what's happening.
And we've seen a lot of those hearts and minds change in the most dramatic fashion, because during this campaign, we saw lives saved at 40 Days for Life vigils because a coerced abortion was stopped. We saw a 13-year-old choose life. We saw second and third trimester babies saved from abortion because of the presence of somebody who just took 1 hour, trusting that the Lord would answer that prayer somehow, somewhere, sometime. And the Lord did it in dramatic ways. And as a result, an abortion appointment that was booked out of despair, it's a story that has a happy ending with mom and baby A-OK.
It's definitely a beautiful ending, and it's why people are getting involved in 40 Days for Life. I mean, the demand of 40 Days for Life is at an all-time high, and it has been, frankly, since Roe v. Wade was overturned. We continue to, lose cities for the best reason, which is that their abortion facility closes. But we're gaining cities from people who are looking at this saying, "I always wanted to participate. I always wanted to lead, but I never did," and they're seeing that they're owning it, because we do have abortion-free states. 26 states passed pro-life laws after the fall of Roe, compared to 6 that passed pro-abortion states. And that's just on the legislative front. But we're winning on the hearts and minds. Mm-hmm. And we're discovering what human nature has taught us and God has taught us, that women are not these robots that will, crawl and run and fly and drive to get an abortion, no matter the cost, that this is not their identity. This is not what empowers women. And so many women are choosing life, and as a result, abortion facilities are closing. We also, and many of y'all have asked, and we sent this out during the campaign in case you missed it, but we were at this table recording when we got the news that Charlie Kirk had been assassinated. That was just a couple of weeks before we kicked off this massive fall campaign. And one of his legacies, not only did he debate politics very well, but in that was definitely the pro-life debate. He was excellent at articulating this great cause and defending free speech, and he was killed for it. But we definitely saw the Charlie Kirk effect in the 36% of locations reporting an increase in participation, and in these beautiful reports of people saying, after Charlie got shot, I knew I needed to get my act together. Like, look at what he did, look at what he gave his life for, and I'm gonna let the fear of going out, maybe being seen on the sidewalk by somebody who disagrees with me, get in the way. And so that was such a beautiful thing. Fox News actually did a great story on the Charlie Kirk effect and 40 Days for Life. We'll put the link up in case you missed that, but it was great to see. It was great to see the response that fear was overcome this fall in the wake of his assassination just 2 weeks before we kicked off.
The conversions that are taking place are dramatic, and they're unfolding in wild locations. And so we try not to expose the workers who are leaving, but we've got an East Coast abortion facility where they never talk with the workers. They talked to 3 workers on the same day about leaving their jobs. Did they? We don't know yet, but they planted a seed. They're taking down information about Abby Johnson and abortionworker.com. There was a 4th worker at that same location that came out and said, "I had a bad day, I'm not ready to talk." But you could tell that the seeds weren't just planted, but they were germinating. And we had a situation in Connecticut, in Waterbury, where there's a woman, she's screaming at the 40 Days for Life participants, and turns out she had an abortion 2 weeks ago, and she was upset that nobody was there when she had her abortion. And led to a conversation, and it led to the woman deciding that she was going to go from yelling at the prayer warriors to she wanted to go back to her church and return to her faith for the first time in years. So these things, what we see here is all these little stories. The 13-year-old who chose life, the woman who got off the table, the woman who regretted her abortion, the workers who are getting information about Abby Johnson. All of these things add up, and in the aggregate, they result in what we are seeing is the death spiral of Planned Parenthood, the death spiral of the abortion industry.
We track how many abortion facilities have closed, praise God, as a result of 40 Days for Life, but there's another number of where all the facilities closed, which Sacramento is getting close to that, or whether they have one abortion facility like in College Station, Texas, where we are, or they have many. We have a number where there are completely abortion-free cities. And what are we up to?
So 94.
94.
So we're closing in on 100. So 184 facilities closed. That doesn't even count the Planned Parenthood referral centers that have closed. There are more of those that have closed as well. But 94 abortion-free cities following a 40 Days for Life campaign.
That is just so awesome. It's absolutely phenomenal. And when you look at all of the volunteers out on the street, I know we have those pictures up. You did that. That is the result of you fighting all the temptations of, I don't have time to go out there, maybe I'll do it next campaign, it's controversial, whatever the excuses are, overcoming that, going out and peacefully praying, and you never know how God is going to use that prayer. He certainly has used it to close 184 abortion facilities, make 94 cities abortion-free, and help change the hearts and minds of abortion facility workers. And speaking of former Planned Parenthood workers, we have one with us today, the wonderful Ramona Trevino. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Ooh, I like the wonderful adjective. That's nice.
I don't mean it, but I'm trying to be nice. Spectacular.
Ooh,
there,
that's
we'll
better,
add on to
Sean.
it. Hey, you're wonderful because you survived Yale. You went up to Yale.
I did.
How was it?
It was fantastic. Well, I don't want to, toot my own horn or anything, but it was they were friendlies, so
Okay.
that made it a lot easier. I
Right.
don't know that I could actually do, the thing where you have to talk to the pro-aborts or anything. But
Yeah.
this was their conference, their pro-life conference. It's a group called CLAY, which is Choose Life at Yale. Fantastic group. This is their 12th year. They said it's grown exponentially. And so, yeah, I had a wonderful time. I thought it was a great group of people and just a real true privilege to be there.
We haven't talked a lot on a public forum like this since the defunding. And you, as a former Planned Parenthood manager, post defunding, you see these closures. What's the atmosphere like to be employed? And we're going to get in a minute all their HR issues and them trying to unionize. And just as a company, aside from whether you love what they do or hate what they do, they're in chaos on the HR front with their employees. But what's that environment like? If you would have been defunded when you were a manager, would you have just thought, well, this is the end?
Panic, for
Panic.
sure. I think that would be the top of the list. And I think, too, you have to remember that a lot of these employees are not, gung-ho, pro-abort, pro-Planned Parenthood. A lot of them are just needing a job.
Yeah.
So if you imagine you're there, a lot of these women, single mothers, they need a job, and their job is potentially on the line. I would imagine there's a lot of stress happening within the organization.
We've talked about them having these HR problems and union problems. There was one Planned Parenthood where their own employees were out protesting alongside the 40 Days for Life vigil. That's just the epitome of awesome. And so it's just been wild. But you're getting reports, and the local leaders leading the 40 Days for Life campaigns are mentioning the high turnover.
Oh yeah. So I've in the visits that I had this fall, you hear from the leaders who say, we don't know who the abortionist is. We used to be able to know who that was. Now it's a different person, or the director of the Planned Parenthood has left. We don't know who the new one is, or even if they've had replaced that director. They're just seeing a lot of, they're not able to identify patterns in the employees the way that they used to be, which kind of reflects this turnover rate. They're in trouble. And I think for a lot of employees, they probably also have the attitude of, I didn't sign up for this.
I'm interested too in the communication, because we know from you and many of the other workers, there's this huge disconnect of running a local, Planned Parenthood abortion facility, running a local abortion referral center, and the CEO at the top, and just the corporate side of Planned Parenthood. Huge disconnect. And I'm interested in the defunding, which most of that money went into politics, never actually reached the local facilities, which is great that we're still seeing all these closures despite that reality. I'm interested because you're probably wondering, am I next?
Hmm.
And they're probably not getting the full story. Their CEO's a ding dong, bless her heart. So she just is. She has been so just mission drift. Thank God.
Yeah,
since
and
Roe was overturned.
the employees that are at the bottom are usually kept in the dark about
Yeah.
these things, you know. So I think that there's probably this underlying feeling of like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Is my job on the chopping block? I was just in Dayton, Ohio, where Planned Parenthood just purchased that location where our vigil's at, and now there are leaders and volunteers are saying we think they're going to close.
Wow.
Like something's going on here. So even though they just purchased it, now it may not even stay open.
You had a really neat experience this fall where you had to translate to a Spanish mom who was about to have an abortion.
Yeah, so it was such a remarkable story.
We'll leave the location out.
Yes, leave the location out. So, but it was an out-of-state situation where one of our leaders called me, and she was kind of like in this big panic, like, Ramona, I need your help. You know, I have a mom who's coming out. She only speaks Spanish, and it was funny because I was driving home. So I'm on the highway. I'm going into this cold. I don't know any of the context. She's just like got me on speakerphone. So I don't even know what's going on, right? And so anyway, I was able to translate and just kind of say the things that we say in that short amount of time that we have, which is trying to get them, you know, over to the PRC, which we were able to do, but they were closed. They were already closed for the evening. So then we were all on speakerphone trying to coordinate so that the mom can come back the next day. She lived, you know, pretty far away from that city and that facility. So our leaders and volunteers were able to coordinate, pick her up the next day, bring her to the PRC. And she saw her baby on the ultrasound, and praise be to God, she fell in love with her baby. And yeah, so we had to save. Yeah,
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
That's absolutely beautiful. And somebody who has saved a lot of babies is Pearl in the Bronx. I mentioned that earlier, that I went up to New York, where we had the flagship Planned Parenthood in Manhattan closed. We also had Pearl's abortion facility in the Bronx, a very notorious, ugly, windowless abortion facility that you will see in a moment. Because when I was up there, I interviewed Pearl in front of that closed abortion facility in South Bronx. Okay, so let's talk about this place.
Okay,
We're in the Bronx.
welcome.
You're glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for your leadership, your faithfulness.
My
So
privilege, my honor.
you start doing pro-life stuff in the Bronx. You become the leader of this 40 Days for Life. Of course, we have campaigns throughout all the boroughs. And did you ever think this location would actually close?
Yes,
You did.
I did. Of course, we prayed a lot, but I believed that it would be closed.
I'm fair. I mean, you go to some of these Planned Parenthoods, they're these beautiful medical buildings. You can go to some of these independent buildings that are just really, really nice facilities where it looks like you can get legitimate health care.
Uh-huh.
And then you get this.
I know.
The creepy, windowless.
I know.
It's like if people say, what does an abortion facility look like in the Bronx? They imagine this building.
Mhm.
And it's like they're not even trying. Dr. Emily's, also in South Bronx, is the same way.
Mhm.
What
At
is
least
that?
theirs has a sign.
I know. Yeah.
There was never a sign
Right.
here.
This is just
Yeah.
the address.
Yeah,
you know?
always.
Was that the front door?
Yes, that's where the women would go through, and sometimes their husbands, their boyfriends, fathers, grandmothers, moms.
Did that motivate you that it looks so dumpy that there's this, our heart goes out like, you can't go in there. Like, there's better options for you. Did that motivate you?
I believe so. I believe it was a part of that. But yeah, it just was so non-descriptive. Some of the neighbors told me they had no idea that that was an abortion facility, abortuary. So we explained to a lot of the neighbors, yeah, you need to talk to your council people.
Yeah. Well, you would know.
I
mean,
know.
they did a good job. This could be this could be an accounting
Yeah.
office. This could be anything.
They wanted people not to, you know, except for the people they were asking to come in,
Yeah.
they want everybody else not to really know what they were doing.
So you must have
inside.
educated a lot of people.
Yeah, we
that
did.
This is what this.
We
What's
did.
the reaction? Were people like, who cares?
Oh, really? I never knew.
I never knew.
Yeah, most of the time I got that. And then sometimes we get a finger because, well, mind your business.
Yeah.
And then the occasional one that started to increase, thank God, well, we're glad you're here.
Yes.
Thank you for what you're doing.
I think the stereotype for people is they think that the political divide of the country is the same in the abortion debate, where, well, you're in New York, they all love abortion, it's 100% abortion and all of that. And since we've launched 40 Days for Life, I knew immediately that wasn't true. California quickly became our largest state. We had campaigns throughout New York
Wow.
instantly. New York City and New York State. And there's a lot of pro-lifers here, and it's different than just a political angle.
Yes.
There's still the human heart factor of people don't want an abortion facility in their neighborhood. It doesn't matter if you're in the Bronx or you're in Denver or you're in Sacramento.
Once they understand, they really come around. They don't want it. And the good thing that I experienced in leading the campaign for those 7 years is that the first 3 or 4 years, it was like, nah, we're not really interested. We don't really want you here. The last 3, it started to pick up.
Okay.
Oh, I would get like thumbs up and honks for the car in a positive light. So I really sensed that the Lord was turning hearts.
Well,
and it's so encouraging.
You probably became part of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you're in the nature of any 40 Days for Life campaign. The first week you're a pain in the rear.
Right.
The second week you're these religious annoying people. The third week, at least respect them. And the fourth week, okay, they may be human too.
Exactly.
And if you do that for 3 years, people realize there's a reputation.
Yeah.
You're peaceful. You're
Right.
actually trying to help. Word gets around of women you have helped. But when you start driving down the numbers of an abortion facility that was this successful
Yes.
and this established in really the abortion capital of the Western Hemisphere,
Yes.
which is, New York.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we've talked a lot about on this trip, 73,000 abortions a year, over 11% of all abortions
Right.
in America
Right.
take place here. Was it 37% of pregnancies end in
unfortunately.
abortion? And
I
yet,
think in the year 2016, we had actually more, especially with the black women, more of them were aborting their children than
yes.
bringing their children to birth.
Yes, no. The numbers skyrocket when you get into black pregnancies.
Yeah.
And I think it hit 60 or 70% of all
So
pregnancies.
bad.
And but yet in 17, New York hits their max. There were 252 abortion facilities in the state of New York. Today there are 115. So it is reflective. The last 10 years or so, the rest of the country, the facilities have gone down, abortions have gone down, and that's even the case in New York. But this is a prime example, because when I tell people about your 40 Days for Life campaign closing this place, I'm like, yeah, we've closed abortion facilities in the Bronx. And they're like, okay, so he got excited.
It's real. It's
he
real.
made that up. It was
No,
really
it's
probably
real.
Knoxville, Tennessee or
No,
something.
no. It's the Bronx, New York.
It's the Bronx,
Yeah.
New York. And
Yeah.
that has to be such an amazing feeling. And I'll tell you too, when you look at all these states that are just, we still have, Suzanne and Rachel and outside of Atlanta, we have all these abortion facilities that are hanging on and that are in, quote, red states and pro-life areas, and they just are still fighting, trying to get them to close. And then you're so inspiring because you closed the Bronx, which is,
God
of course,
did it.
never supposed
Having
to
to
close.
be around. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's, how did you get the news that they were closing?
Very interesting. Because I was trying to find out. For the longest time we would come, we had our campaign, of course, the spring campaign, and that's when I noticed, wait a minute, but nobody's going inside. And the padlock was on. So that's different. But still, I couldn't get the actual news that it was closed. It was a policeman that finally, he was told by one of the workers. The main person that was managing it, she passed away that January.
Okay.
And then it was just a short time after that, they just closed, period. This is what we were praying for.
Were you just elated?
I wept.
Yeah.
Thank God. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Thank God, because so much tragedy. Before they came to this building, the owner actually had a room, I guess he owned a few rooms or was leasing a few rooms downstairs of this exact building.
Okay.
And a woman died under his care. So then
he was doing the abortion.
Exactly.
She died. Okay.
She perished. And then they started with this building. And they had a lot of abortions in this one. Actually, some people even, I think I had 1 or 2 ladies that joined us to be praying for life that actually told me quietly, I had an abortion there.
Yeah.
That really, oh man, it stuck.
We have the Manhattan closure. We had 2 in Queens back in the day with Chris Latter. We had this facility close. We've had 2, 3 in San Francisco, the Bay Area close.
Thank
and
God.
It's in these similar atmospheres.
Mhm.
And somebody from Texas or Nebraska is like, how in the world do those places close? And they don't
God.
understand the setup is you have access to the women.
Yeah.
A lot of these places, Planned Parenthood will build these complexes
Right.
with massive parking lot and fences. You can't really get anywhere near these
Exactly.
places. That's not the case in New York.
No.
They're right here on the street.
So you're right. We did have that little leeway. Sometimes I would even catch them coming out of the taxi.
Oh, nice.
So now I'm in competition with the client escort.
Yeah.
But I'm still, we're here for you. We're here to help you.
What ultimately God did here, which is this persistence
Yes.
of faith
Yes.
and your belief that if we reach enough women, then we'll save enough babies, then we can close this place.
Amen.
And it doesn't matter where it is. The human heart is the same, and that's exactly what happened here.
Praise God. Even a couple of the workers left. So thank
Wow.
God for that.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Mhm.
Unbelievable. So 7 years.
Yes.
7
years and 40 days for life was
Sure,
here.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that last year, that's it.
Like
Yeah.
we all have that discomfort and that natural fear. You got to overcome it, and something like this can happen.
The thing of it is, Sean, is that the world, they're not fearful, and they're pushing their agenda 24/7. So we're on the good side. We're on God's side. So if they can push nonsense that leads to death and destruction, how much more should God's people push life? I think we have no excuse.
It's beautiful. It's great.
Believing with you.
It was wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, talking to Pearl, that is one of 184 abortion facilities that have closed. So praise God. And of course, half of those in places like New York. So thankfully, you've been to the Bronx before.
I have. I've been with Pearl, been in front of that same disgusting building in that disgusting neighborhood.
I want to get into this. We've had a lot of legal issues that you've done a great job handling, but this is going to be kind of a lot of fun because some of these are just straight up comical. The first of which are these abortion pill advertisements in Florida. So we both love the beach. We all go to the beach so we can get there. You put your suntan oil on, you hang out, you make sure the kids are having fun, and you at that moment want to see abortion pill ads go by your umbrella.
This Mayday Health, which is really Mayday Medicines, Inc. Yeah, they were running boats up and down the beach that says, like, visit Billy's Crab Shack. But it said, you need abortion pills.
You need abortion pills.
But you
without
can't,
the warnings.
You ever watched, I know you're a big sports fan, you watch the TV and there's this commercial for some pill and at the end, you don't, like, is that an asthma medicine?
Right.
Is that growing? You don't even know what it does because 75% of it has been, and if you experience death, call 911 immediately.
Right.
And you're like, holy cow. They don't do any of that, right? They have to do all that stuff. And when when APR, which is just progesterone and used in almost 40 other threatened pregnancies, nobody ever had a problem with it. No pro-abort, no abortionists. They prescribe it left and right if you want your baby. But here, APR, suddenly it's an evil drug. They give all the warnings, right? And Planned Parenthood has an informed consent for a reason, But you're not allowed to do that. So we were able to get pictures. You can check it out on our letter to the Attorney General and the Governor of Florida and say, do you really want this boat going up and down your beaches? And what's next? Planes with banners? And but you got to have the and there's nothing. There's no warnings. There's nothing. Just contact Mayday Health, which is some apparently not. I don't know what they are in some.
And they don't have full restrictions on abortion pills in Florida, but they do have restrictions, and that was all gone. This is what we have to do. We have to go on offense, which is one of the great benefits of having you and the Institute of Law and Justice, because no one's watching these, and the pro-life laws are no good unless we can enforce them in the grassroots level. And our wonderful 40 Days for Life leaders have done a great job at just blowing the whistle on some of this because we're on the ground and we see this stuff happening.
And I might say that it's a blessing that Dr. Donato Barillo, who's a lawyer and a medical doctor practicing in Florida medicine, is one of the leading experts in the country on medicines and APR positively, abortion pills negatively, which are illegal to begin with. But I also might say it also follows our complaints to the IRS, which they did nothing about yet, for the Sarasota abortion Planned Parenthood, allowing the Harris, whatever the other guy's name was, campaign, a Waltz campaign,
Yeah.
in their building,
In their
right?
facility.
and
yeah.
and going up to the DNC in Chicago from the Missouri Planned Parenthoods, Twin Rivers and the great whatever, I forget the name of the other one, and they went up there and so many other things. So yes, we are able to keep an eye on that. And why I think that's important, Sean, is obviously the ILJ represents our own, right? The 700-some thousand participants each year in the USA. The vigil participants, right? That get unjustly accused, and they don't even probably know a lawyer, and now they don't need to, right, or pay for one, because our generous donors handle that. But we're also get the question, I get it a lot, but what are you doing about the big picture? And so if you get on the resources website, 40 Days for Life, ILJ resources, you can see every single letter. We don't hide it. We send it out. Like you said, we're not afraid of it. Whether it's APR or complaints to the IRS or the boat in Florida peddling pills, death pills, and things like that, and so many other things that we're able to do.
In Missouri, you know, the Attorney General of Missouri asked you in April, who's a former Missouri prosecutor now on our team, to help defend their great pro-life laws. They have an onslaught of attacks and have for years, but they're a very pro-life state.
We did. We met with the Attorney General and the Solicitor General in Missouri, neither of which are there anymore.
Right.
One's on the federal bench and one's the co-director of the FBI, whatever that means. Good folks, and they did. We have a global perspective, and April's, was a former elected prosecutor and city attorney in various counties in Missouri and cities, and so I went to law school there. Actually, my first job that I couldn't take because I had my first child, and I couldn't make a living at whatever they were paying, was at the Missouri Attorney General's office in Jeff City.
Oh.
So got a lot of good connections there, and that's correct. We are helping actually directly represent the state against Planned Parenthood's suit. So Amendment 3 passed, which gave abortion as a constitutional right in Missouri. I mean, in the mid. Anyway, same thing happened in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about New Mexico, Colorado, California, Illinois,
Right.
Vermont. We're talking about anyway. So it happens. Ohio,
We're about to talk about New Mexico.
and then, I know we got to move quick, and then the day after that passed, Planned Parenthood did a smart thing. They said, well, now that it's a constitutional right, you can't regulate abortion. We're like, well, I'm not sure we can't regulate abortion. I mean, it says up to viability, and like you don't want it regulated at all. Like you go to get your like ingrown toenail clipped, and you have to get you don't want it regulated at all. You get like a hair transplant, you got some regulation. You don't nothing. Skin treatment gets regulated, but abortion doesn't get. That's right. It's like back in the day with when the march first started, and Nellie and all that stuff. It was rare, safe and rare, and now it's pregnant persons over fetuses every time, right? They're just, there is no question it's a life, and we're snuffing it out.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing now, and they're just saying, yes, that's correct. Abortion's different.
And no regulation,
None.
Abortion at 40 weeks.
None, because you're a hater.
Well, Ramona was just
You
saying.
hate women, and you hate the Constitution.
Ramona was just giving that credit for some of the Planned Parenthood turnover. That the generation of workers they have working there didn't actually grow up supporting abortion at 40 weeks. That wasn't the talking
It's
point.
like
it was
the
safe,
whole
legal, and
trans
rare.
thing. You don't want some 6-foot dude, 4 hairy-backed dude in the bathroom with your 4-year-old granddaughter just because he's in a dress. It's the whole. They say it because they have to, but they don't believe it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like that whole thing. They're like, well, I'm for abortion, but I don't think you should strangle the kid during birth.
Right.
I mean, it's just gone way too far. Nobody believes in this stuff anymore.
Yeah. Well, there is a group in New Mexico that believes it, and they decided to do 40 Days of Choice and rip off our logo. 40 Days of Choice, the beginning of the end of oppression.
Clever.
Really clever. Ripping off the beginning of the end of
Misspelled.
abortion. All this is trademarked, by the way. You've trademarked all this. And And so they did 40 days of choice. So, you know, you sent it to me. I said, yes, yeah, let's do the cease and desist. We sent the cease and desist letter, and we got just such a warm, mind you, colorful voicemail. And this is the this is kind of like, hey, they're gonna sue me and all this. So we're gonna play the voicemail for the audience. This is the edited version.
Hi, this is Haley Walker Munoz. I think that's you guys. You sent me a cease and desist, and to send it to several of my friends. So whatever. It all looks like a bunch of sue me, you wonderful Christians. Bye-bye. You can kiss my...
Okay, so I'm not saying she's gonna come over for Thanksgiving to my house, but there are the smart aleck nature of this, where she's just like giving us the double middle finger, right? I got your letter. Of course, we sent another letter, and then they ended up.
She's not
taking this down.
lukewarm.
She is not lukewarm. She
Look,
is not lukewarm.
But here for people who don't understand trademark cease and desist, we have 40 days for life. We got the angel man, you know about that, and then we have the beginning of the end of abortion, and all of those are trademarked. They're the source of our goods, and we do that not to protect against the good guys that might want to use it, but against what happened here, the Planned Parenthoods and the abortionists and the.
And Planned Parenthood has ripped it off. There have been other pro-abortion groups that have ripped it off, but this was a.
Yeah, but a lot of them, two or
Yeah.
three a year. And 90% of them cease and desist. Some double down, some don't do anything. But that goes to show they can't even, you know, my Bible says
Yeah.
that he is the prince of lies. Lying and murder come naturally to him, right? Because, so they can't even think of their own stuff. So like, why can't they just say 40 Days for Life's a bunch of jerks and they hate women or whatever? Why do they have to? So they used our logo, our font, our colors, and they only changed a couple of little things, and it's and our dates. So the law is it confusingly similar? Well, yeah, it's confusingly similar, and they were probably concerned that they were intended it to be confusingly similar, which is even worse for damages, for money. If you get sued and lose, you've got to pay attorney's fees and other things. And it was. They can't even come up with their own stuff, right? Like, why can't they do their own thing that say Women's Rights March or something like that?
Well, I think the reason for that is what you kind of alluded to, which is New Mexico is a crazy pro-abortion state with great, particularly there, 40 Days for Life campaigns, and everything our leader, Mark Cavalier, has done, not only on the Texas-New Mexico border, but across the state is phenomenal, and we have a huge presence there, and it ticks them off. And so that's why you get voicemails like this, because of the efficacy of it.
I don't know what efficacy means, but I'm going to look it up later. And so
You invented that word.
yes, look, New Mexico, for people who want to know, Colorado was the first state that brought abortion by state law
Right.
to in the 69
Yeah.
to the states, and New Mexico was the last before Roe v. Wade gloriously was overturned, but it became the worst state too. So abortion in New Mexico is up to and during birth and publicly funded, and anybody, don't have to be in the state, no parental notice. It's like the Wild Wild West, and it's in the West. And so that's right, but they have this march. We have great campaigns in all over the state. There's great lawyers suing abortionists. There's a notorious abortionist, you know, from Texas to New Mexico and sold his Texas place, and I believe has admitted to abortions up to 36 weeks. And so it's really, really bad. Not that an abortion at 36 seconds is good, but you know, everybody's against it, right? And so that's what we're dealing with in New Mexico. So the Women's March, or the Las Cruces Women's March, that's 40 days for choice and the beginning of the end of oppression, misspelled.
Yeah.
And like kind of sort of changed it. And yeah.
And they took it down.
The one lady sent a no holds barred voicemail,
Yeah.
which it appears that the other people that are the board is like, this is not what we want to
yeah.
mess with. This is a distraction. We're an organization, like, you know. And yeah, they did. They took it down.
Yeah.
They pushed back a little bit, and then they took it down. And most people do. But you know, we don't rip people's stuff off. You know, we don't come up with our own stuff, our own colors, our own logos, our own taglines, our own books. our own arguments, our own talks. You know, you don't rip things off, but stealing's not real high on the list of what they're worried about.
No.
When you kill babies for
In the-
money for a living,
no, in
I don't think lying and stealing.
I don't think lying and stealing is the scheme of things, and we're going to continue to fight it legally and go on offense. We're going to put all that on the webpage, some of the cases that he referenced. We also recently released a legal update podcast that we'll put up there so that you can listen, get all the details to this and the many other cases going on across the country and around the world. And that brings up Robert Cahoon, our wonderful international campaign director. He is going to take us on a quick tour. As America thrives in the pro-life movement, we have to continue to own these wins, as we discussed earlier. And the world is watching, and it is inspiring them to do the same, to end abortion where they are, because the pro-life movement in America is definitely the most successful in the world, particularly in the West. So, Robert, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a joy and a privilege to share with you the incredible stories from this autumn's 40 Days for Life international campaign. Across the world, in rain and sunshine, on quiet streets and outside busy hospitals, thousands have united in prayer, fasting, and peaceful witness. And once again, we've seen God's hand at work, saving lives, changing hearts, and strengthening communities. So let's begin in Mostar in Bosnia and Herzegovina. There, doctors, psychologists, and even the local bishop have been supporting mothers in crisis, and the safe house that houses them too. Despite attacks from pro-abortion activists, government complaints, the team stands firm. An organising committee member, Martin Zelenica, shared, "One woman decided not to have an abortion after the vigil at the end of the spring campaign. It was so emotional that nobody wanted to go home." He said, "This shows life prevails when we unite." And participant Mariana Johanovic, a mother of three, said, "When we pray together, I feel like I'm a part of a piece of heaven filled with love, challenges, and blessings." And this autumn, their special focus was on encouraging men to be protectors of life. So in Croatia, came from what Petra said was big, big, big news. All the nurses into conscientious objection. At the Zagreb hospital, where the vigil is held, every nurse refused to take part in abortions. By law, the hospital must now find new staff before abortions can resume. That means right now between 4 and 12 abortions are not happening every single day. Petra said, "I can't even describe how happy we are. This is huge." And indeed, it's a living witness to the power of conscience and the courage of faith. Well, way over in Ireland, Wexford were doing their first ever campaign after a summer workshop there. Volunteers pray at a busy intersection near the hospital, and the local media has taken notice. The community's response has been overwhelmingly positive. Leader John put it simply. He said, "There's a spiritual battle for the hearts and minds of people, and we will win it by praying, fasting, and public witness. Hail, rain, or shine." Well, I was in Oxford. The campaign opened with an unforgettable story. Amrita, at the time just 26 years old, found herself pregnant, frightened, and alone. And she took the first abortion pill, but immediately she regretted it. But thanks be to God, she found the abortion pill reversal treatment. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl who was at the event. At the launch event, she shared, "My brush with abortion changed my outlook on life completely." And down in Bournemouth, we had a first ever pro-life youth event, getting young people to speak about pro-life and abortion, showing that the next generation is ready to carry the torch of life. Well, over in Den Bosch in the Netherlands, a mother of three changed her mind after talking with volunteers, and her baby was saved. And meanwhile, in Rotterdam, a first-time campaign, a new leader, also called Petra, said she only wanted to help a little, but the Holy Spirit had other plans. She said, "He told me he would lead it." Now the campaign's growing, full of young people discovering for the first time that there is even an abortion centre in their city. And she said with a smile, they didn't know, they do now. Well, in Kasizi in Uganda, a young woman abandoned and pressurised to abort turned to her community for help. And local leader Layahinda and her team surrounded her with prayer and practical support, and she chose life. That child is alive today because one woman cared enough to say, you are not alone. Well, in Basel in Switzerland, volunteers faced pouring rain and confrontation. A young man shouted that they were making women feel guilty. But after a calm conversation about the dignity of every child, he walked away speechless. And moments later, a woman approached to thank them. His leader, Aurelia, said, we thank God for this day and for allowing us to pray for life. And in Slovakia, 2 campaigns celebrated a historic national victory, a constitutional amendment defending life, family, and parental rights. 2 politicians, undecided before, were moved by the public witness of faithful during a march for life, and their votes proved decisive. It's a powerful reminder that prayer and public witness really can shape the future of a nation. So, from Bosnia to Uganda, from the Netherlands to the UK, this autumn campaign has shown one truth again and again. Prayer works, love saves, and every life is worth defending. To every volunteer, every leader, every person who prayed in the cold and the rain, thank you. Together we stand as witnesses that life will always prevail, because where there is faith, there is hope. Where there is hope, there is life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. And somebody who has traveled around the world sharing his story many times is former abortion provider, Dr. Haywood Robinson. Haywood, good to see you.
Blessing to be with you again, Sean.
You got around the country this campaign.
Put in
You were
some
moving.
miles all around the country. It's a beautiful country.
This was the first year, 2024, I should say, because the abortion pills peak in 2023. 2024 is the first significant drop. About 12% of them making up, how much they make up of all abortions. One of my theories that I can't prove is that one of the reasons behind that is the bad word of mouth. Because this is supposed to be like taking an Advil for a sprained ankle. But the women that are experiencing the abortion pills aren't having that experience. They say the same thing. I saw my baby.
Right. Well, that we do have to recognize the studies do make a difference. Earlier this year, we had the study that came out that showed there is a significantly higher rate of complication. People do listen to that. The numbers tracking abortion pill, as you know, are rather difficult because there is a black market. We can get it outside of the country also, Canada and Thailand, Pakistan. So it's a battle. We're still trying to fight those restrictions that they took off during the COVID times. I think we have a favorable environment within the federal government with Secretary Kennedy and Trump. So we're fighting that very well, but we're also seeing with the guy that pioneered that, Dr. Delgado, has released a new book, Get That Abortion Pill Reversal, Progesterone, that natural hormone, out to the people.
It's a beautiful practice. It's a great practice. And these abortion pills are a problem. They're not the problem that I think somebody perceives at home, because the notion that, or the myth that Roe was overturned, it doesn't matter anyways, they're mailing out all these abortions, there's 1 billion abortions a day because of the abortion pills. It's not. Those numbers are so skewed because of the stockpiling that happened with COVID, and then they doubled down again with the stockpiling when Roe was overturned. And so people say, well, there's 500,000 abortion pills in Northern California or whatever. But they're on the shelf. You have to look at the numbers of the ones that are administered, and that's what we're doing in monitoring. How much do abortion pills make up all abortions? The other reality that we stated earlier is that 80% of them are still distributed through brick and mortar. Women actually don't want to order an abortion through the mail, despite what we're often told. But the abortion pill reversal is so hopeful because when I first heard about it, it was 2009 from our wonderful leader, Gene, God rest his soul, in San Diego at the time. And I actually thought he was crazy. You know, occasionally, I think when I think somebody's crazy, I'm right 9 out of 10 times. Okay,
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah, relatives, you know, anybody. No coworkers, of course. But Gene, this is the way I was just wrong because he said no. They're coming up with a thing where you can reverse an abortion, and I just thought that makes no sense. And yet, you know, because he was in San Diego and knew Dr. Delgado, I think early on it was like a 6 or 7% success rate, and it's getting close to 70% success rate.
It's a 70% success rate, and it makes sense. Progesterone, as most people know now, is a hormone of pregnancy. It's the fertilizer that keeps the baby growing, and all the abortion pill is anti-progesterone. And so what the solution is that old slogan is, dilution is the solution to pollution. Mm-hmm. So we give the woman basically more of the same thing that the baby needs to grow, and that overpowers this poison, and the sooner that we can give it, the better.
It also is a beautiful witness to show the changes of something you've spent a lot of your life harping on, which is this is the failure of medicine. This is the failure of the Hippocratic Oath. This is the failure of doctors. And now we've seen the pro-life movement become the pro-medicine, pro-science, pro-woman side, pro-real alternative side. Mm-hmm. And this is yet another advancement, a huge advancement in stopping. We're having women take the first pill in the clinic and immediately call for help with regret. You can actually change your mind after that first pill. It's really, really beautiful. And as we wrap up, I want to ask you, okay, so you got into this, which if the viewer has not gotten, you got to get Haywood's book, Scalpel in the Soul. But it's a wild ride, and it's a beautiful one. But you came into this by doing abortions. You spent your life fighting abortion. You now do this, you know, full time. You've encountered so many of our wonderful volunteers. Maybe did you think you'd live to see the overturning of Roe?
Well, you know, that's a segue into what I was thinking about globally. I'm blessed to be able to say that I saw the beginning of this. I was a junior undergrad when Roe versus Wade was passed. And so I've been blessed to see the whole half century of that curse overturned by the Dobbs decision. But I've also been a part of a number of pro-life ministries, of course, 40 Days for Life being the premier one right now. And to see that, you know, we've made such a significant impact. I'm the most, I guess, tenured or the sage of the ministry, so to speak.
Wise.
But to think that what has happened with 40 Days since that very first vigil, just a few yards from where we're sitting right now. We started there at midnight, and now we have almost 700 prayer campaigns, and we are making a difference, not only with 40 Days for Life, but globally. We had no pro-life movement 40 years ago, but now we have a diversity in what my dear wife calls a pro-life ecosystem. Mm-hmm. It's just so diversified, so it's beautiful. So we're seeing so much change. We're seeing so much happening. Also, we have a very favorable administration that we're working with. So what better time than to be in the pro-life movement?
It's awesome, and it is an example to the world. And we're going to go to Lourdes, who is our Latin American campaign director, and Africa and Latin America, which you've been to a lot. Those are places they didn't ask for abortion. They didn't sign up for it or demand it. We brought it to them. We being primarily the United States and England. Their abortion facilities are Pro Familia, Planned Parenthood, and Marie Stopes, which is the prominent abortion chain in England. And we brought it to them, and they don't resent us for it. They still look to America as the solution, and everything Dr. Robinson was saying is 100% accurate. It's such an inspiration to these countries where we have shamefully exported abortion. And so, Lourdes, take it away.
Hello everyone, this is Lourdes Varela from 40 Days for Life in Iberoamerica, and I want to share the blessing of having 30 lives saved from abortion. 30 children that are now alive, because this is a victory not just for life. This is a victory in the spiritual battlefield. We have to remember that every time that we choose to take a shift, to go to our prayer vigil, the enemy starts to whisper things about the traffic, about the weather, about the difficult situation, sometimes the job, the kids, everything happens to stop us to go to our prayer shift. And why? Because this is very important battle. It's the most important battle that we have to win every day. This is a decision of every day. Because what is on stake is the life itself. It's also families, souls. This is the result and the future of a lot of nations. So we have to persevere. So I want to invite you to persevere, because 3 miracles that I want to share. One of them in Panama. In Panama, the life is protected, but abortion is allowed in case of rape. So this is the very famous hospital where we have a great leader who came from Colombia. She started with 40 days to life there, but socially it is like, no, here abortion is not happening, and no, what are you doing? So the hospital, when it started to see their reputation exposed, they try to silence her leader. They call immigration, and they detained her for 9 days. It was something terrible for her, but at the same time, she found Chris with the people in need. So when he came out, she chose to go back and show everyone that abortion is performed in that hospital. So this is giving awareness to an entire country. So I invite you to persevere, because sometimes it seems difficult. It is difficult, but the results are great. In Mexico, in one of the campaigns, a former feminist came. She started to take shifts, and then she gave us her testimony. And she was leading a group of feminists. She also represents an entire state. And then she found face to face with the devil. Then she learned that this is really a spiritual battle, and being there, it was being with the devil, because all the things that she was doing, all the lives that she wanted to end. So she started to look for help. She went to a church. She found a flyer from 40 Days for Life. She chose to start and join, and then she said, it has been a difficult battle for me every day, but then I found Christ, and that is because of you. Thank you for being here, because even when you don't know what is happening, or when you don't see anything, lives are transformed, are converted. It's not just my conversion, but I have friends that were in the feminist group that are also converting, because they are finding Christ. And this is because the prayer that you are doing in this site. So thank you. And even more, I want to share with you that in Costa Rica, we have a great leader. We had a great volunteer. She is also a talented artist. So she was invited by the Vatican to represent the nativity scene in 2025 at the Vatican. So she is involved in 40 Days for Life. So she is going to take the straw, which simulates where the baby Jesus is on. She's going to take ribbons that simulate a life saved from abortion in 40 Days for Life. So she's taking almost 26,000 lives saved from abortion, 26,000 ribbons that simulate the straw at the Vatican. So 40 Days for Life will shine globally in 40 Days for Life at the heart of the church. So I invite you to say this word: yes, yes, I will take a shift. Yes, I will persevere in my prayer. Yes, I will win this spiritual battle and show the world that with God everything is possible, even and with abortion.
Thank you, Lourdes. And we are back with Steve Carlin to wrap up. But when you look at how we got here and how the grassroots is so strong in the pro-life movement, how Planned Parenthood is in trouble, we have tons of work ahead. We have record demand of 40 Days for Life. But we just have really thrived in this we're not going away category of 40 Days for Life 365, where these are vigils that are out there year-round when every business hour that the abortion facility or abortion referral center is open. And these just keep continuing to grow, and we're going to see more closures as a result.
That's exactly why the campaign hadn't even been over for 36 hours, and we got our first report of a baby saved through the 40 Days for Life 365 vigil. This is in Phoenix, Arizona, an important state, a state that had been back and forth before they put abortion and protections in their law. And so it's the encapsulation of everything that we've talked about over the last hour, that, okay, the crisis continues, children are still dying, but guess what? We're still going out there too, and that's why we're winning, and that's why we're going to win. And I think back to that first year after Roe v. Wade was overturned, and there's the immediate backlash.
Yeah.
And it looks like, gosh, pro-lifers will never win another election again. And we thought, well, we got to play the long game. Maybe this could take 10 years before things shake out. I think we're playing on an accelerated timeline right now, and we are closer than we thought we would be a day or a year after Roe v. Wade was overturned, because people are going out and they're witnessing and they're praying and they're changing hearts and minds.
100%. Some people didn't know how to respond, or they weren't expecting Roe v. Wade, or they didn't have a plan afterwards. We're not in that category. 40 Days for Life had a post-Roe plan. We hit the ground running. It's been awesome. You've done a great job leading your team in implementing 40 Days for Life 365. We've gotten more media coverage than we've ever gotten. We had this wonderful partnership with our friends at the Hallow app, where we could open our doors to a whole new audience through that prayer app. There have just been a number of things that have come together where, look, you're just not ending abortion in some of these states. California, New York, they continue to get more insane, but you can end abortion in those states. You're not going to end it legislatively, but you can end it anywhere, as we've themed this podcast, this webcast. Because it's built on, it's market driven, and it's built on hearts and minds, and you can go into these places, San Mateo, California, Santa Cruz, California, the Bronx, Manhattan. This is awesome. And we need to realize that we're winning, not because of us, but because the Holy Spirit, I believe, is blessing a movement that when the Supreme Court gave us this disastrous, Roe decision, they didn't sit back and say, well, some president will come along, somebody else will handle it. They went to work in the grassroots, building pregnancy centers, going out and praying, and that's why things like 40 Days for Life can thrive. So it's beautiful to see, and it's something that I think we have a lot planned for the end of the year and heading into 2026. 2026 is going to be a big year as demand for 40 Days for Life continues to grow.
We're struggling to fit things on our calendar, on our schedule for next year because of how much we've got planned.
It is. It's just absolutely awesome, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for going out and praying, or going to 40 Days for Life 365. You can go to our website and find a location. You can continue to go out and to pray. But just getting that report of all the saved babies just 36 hours after we ended this massive fall campaign is beautiful. I know one of the many moving stories out of the fall for me was a woman in New York choosing life who was visibly pregnant, going in for a late-term abortion facility in New York. And she saw the 40 Days for Life volunteers, talked to them, and chose life. And that is what, whether it's pre the overturning of Roe, post-Roe, defunding, all of that stuff is obviously extremely important. But the reason that we're here, the reason that you're probably watching this webcast is because abortion kills a baby. And that reality is at the heart of our mission to stop it, that there is nothing more tragic than a mother paying a physician, feeling she has no other choice than to do that, to kill her baby. And if abortion didn't kill a baby, we wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be watching this. But it does. It does. And that is why we've got to do everything in our power and outside of our power to stop it. And that means prayer, that means fasting, and that means going out and peacefully praying. So we mentioned the demand of 40 Days for Life is at an all-time high. We don't always, we don't ask for money during the campaign. We don't send fundraising emails throughout the campaign asking for money. We are going to ask for your financial support tonight. We need it. We are, and we should, we feel called to spend more money on training our local leaders to meet this high demand. We'll be doing a massive 40 Days for Life 365 leader training in Texas at the start of 2026. We'll be hosting, regional workshops and trainings in California and other very hostile places across the country, because that's where the need is, that's where the demand is coming from, and we need your support to do it. 40 Days for Life is built on the selfless, courageous local leaders that we have recruited and trained and supported so that they can save babies where they live. And we need your support to continue that. So we have a generous group of donors who did put together a matching challenge. You'll see the amount that if that is matched dollar for dollar, it will be matched dollar for dollar if you give before midnight, Tuesday, November 25th. So the Tuesday before next week, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, if you give any amount, either a monthly donation will be matched. So if you give $50 a month, that's $600 a year, it'll be matched. So that'll be a $600, $50 monthly gift, it'd be $1,200. So all monthly donations are matched. And these matches, by the way, really help us not have to fundraise all the time and focus more on our mission. That's why we can meet the rapid demand for 40 Days for Life, is because we don't have to always run around fundraising all the time. And that helps us focus on our mission. So I'm very grateful we have the match. Please do hit the match. Any amount is deeply appreciated. You can give online. You'll see the link right there. You can give a one-time gift. You can give a monthly gift. The monthly gifts are very, very helpful because they allow us to plan, particularly in a busy year like 2026. So if you're not a monthly donor, start somewhere. $10, $25, 40 is a popular number, $40 a month. It's all deeply appreciated. If you're already a monthly donor, this is the time maybe to go up $5 or $10. That really, really helps us. So whatever amount you can give, it will be doubled up to that amount on your screen, dollar for dollar, through midnight Tuesday, November the 25th. And you can certainly give online. You can also download the form and mail it in. It just needs to be postmarked by November 25th, and we will count it towards the match. So thank you for those that are already giving right now. Please give. We have 7 days to hit this match. We don't want to leave any of the money on the table, and this helps us fulfill our mission as applications to lead a 40 Days for Life campaign next Lent open on December 1st. So we have a very, very busy end of the year coming up, so your generosity is deeply appreciated. And so with that, I will close us with a word of thanksgiving and prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of life, for the gifts of our lives. Thank you for our wonderful team, the volunteers, the benefactors of 40 Days for Life. We pray especially for all women who are considering abortion today. Help us fulfill our role in getting in front of them and offering them your hope and your love, and help us offer them, if they do go through with the abortion, your infinite mercy and your forgiveness and your consolation. We do this work for you, and we offer it up for your greater glory. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay, well, thank you for joining us on this End Abortion Anywhere webcast, and you can indeed end abortion anywhere if you pray and you trust and you get to work. So please pray for us, pray for our team, and thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you.